Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I will be explaining about the input and output functions in Python. Let's start with the video. Let us start with the output function first. Later on we will be seeing the input function. Here the output function, as we have already used in the previous classes, that is print. Print is the output function that is used in Python to print any text or string which is specified within the parenthesis. Here we will be seeing some different types of printing using the print function. Let us start with a simple string printing, like let's say hello. In this way we can print simple strings, and let's see how to print a variable using format specifiers as we use in other programming languages. Here I am initializing a variable I equal to 12, and if I wanna print it along with a string, like how we use the printf function in C language, let's see how we perform this here using the format specifiers. Here I'm going to specify the string like how we separate the string by a comma operator and specify the values in C language in printf function. Here we are going to use the %sign along with the value or the variable that we need. If we print, we can see that the format specifier %d is replaced with the value of I. This is how we use format specifiers in print function in Python. And let us see how to concatenate two strings inside a print function. Let us say the one string is hello and the other is simply, we can specify a comma operator and we can see it gets concatenated. And in one more way we can concatenate, which is by using the plus operator. Let me copy the same content. Keep in mind that the plus operator requires two operands to be of same type. We can see that it has successfully appended. Let's move on to the next topic in this tutorial, which is the input function. Like how we read our standard inputs from keyboard using scanf in C and cin in C++ and using some functions in Java. Here we are going to use input function. The function name itself is input, and the raw underscore input is the function that is used in Python 2, whereas it is not supported in Python 3. Let's say we need to read an input. Here I am going to give a variable, let's say h, and I need to read the input using the input function. Within the parenthesis we can give some string which will be displayed or prompted before getting the input. Let us see with an example. Here I am going to specify enter a text. If we execute it, first enter a text, the string will be printed on the screen, followed by that it will wait for the user input. If we see here, control is waiting for the user input. If we enter something like this and hit enter, now the value is stored, or the value gets stored into the variable h. If we print the variable h, now we can see the value that is present in h. And one point to keep in mind while using the input function in Python 3 is that by default the input function reads a string. That is, If you read any character from the keyboard, either it may be alphabets or numerics or special symbols, by default the input function considers it as a string. Let's say if I want to perform addition of two numbers based on my input, let us see we are going to get the input using the input function. Here I am going to give a value of 15, and let us say another variable h1, and I am going to get the input. Let's say and another 15 or else 20, and now we have the values 15 and h1 value 20, which is of string type. If we try to add those two values, which is h and h1, we can see that it gets appended, but the actual operation is not done by it. This is because the input function gets the input as in the form of a string. Then how to convert the string into integer is by using the concept of typecasting. Here let's say we need to read an integer value. Let me show with an example. Here I am creating another variable h2, and in the same manner how we use the input function, here we are going to use the same manner. But as I said, we need to typecache the values. Let's say when we enter the value, the input function gets the value and returns it to h. Before that, we need to convert it to an integer. This is done simply by specifying the entire input function within an int function. Int is a predefined function which is used to convert anything, not anything, the numeral characters into integers. Let us see if we perform the same operation. Now we are going to enter a value, let's say 15, and if we add h2, let's say with 20, we can see that the result is 35. Like how now if we check the type of h2 using the type function, we can see that h2 is of type integer, whereas if we check the type of the variable h, we can see that it is a string. So keep in mind that whenever we need to get an integer or float or whatever data type it may be, the input function gets a string and we need to typecast into whatever data type that we require. In the place of integer, you may specify it as float, you may specify it as double, whatever data type you need to simply specify the input statement within the type of data type you require. This is all about the input and output functions. In the next video, I will be explaining how to install a standard IDE that we are going to use in further classes, either Anaconda or my favorite PyCharm. I am going to explain both installations. Thanks for watching the video. Get subscribed and I will continue in the next video.